In this video, we speak about Jeffcot rotor with shaft bow. So, eccentricity is not the only imperfection whose effects can be studied by means of the Jeffcot rotor model. Eccentricity is one of we represent the rotor so we have a shaft bow B from O to O1. This is B. Bow. The shaft of this figure can be slightly bent in its undeflected configuration. So deflection bent in undeflected configuration. Bent in Italian is flesso, da flessione, to bend, means flettere. Note that the direction of the B, of the bow B, is generally not coincident with the direction of the eccentricity E epsilon. Wait a moment. Okay, now we can represent the XY plane in which we have the bow from O to O first, from O first we go to the geometric center C, and then to the center of mass P. And the direction are not the same. If we call theta equal to omega t, this angle, this other is equal to omega t plus alpha. In this representation, alpha is negative, but alpha is a very general angle, positive or negative. Perhaps a better representation is like that. Omega t plus alpha in this figure, it is assumed that the eccentricity has the direction of x-axis when t is equal to 0. So the eccentricity, the segment CP, the vector CP at time t equal to 0 is along x-axis. So theta is equal to 0. As usual, as the system is linear, and this is a very important statement, the effects of imbalance and shaft bow can be studied separately and then superimposed. So the results can be added to each other. At time t, the position of point O first, CP of O first can be expressed as O minus O first, O minus O first vector, which has components x O first, epsilon O first. That are b cosinus of omega t plus alpha and b sinus of omega t plus alpha, where b is the bow of the shaft, bow. The elastic reaction of the shaft tends to bring back point C. Bring back point C. This is the elastic reaction of the shaft. Bring back point C towards O first. The potential energy is then U, capital U, 1/2 per key per C minus of squared equal to 1/2 of key per xc minus b cosinus of omega t plus alpha all squared plus epsilon c minus b sinus of omega t plus alpha all squared and all summed. By introducing this in the ordinary second order differential equation, we have a further contribute of the stiffness. The first part, M I C 2 points plus K per XC minus B cosinus of omega t plus alpha equal to M epsilon omega squared cosinus of omega t plus the external force Fx mx c. The second is very similar, is specular to the first. So we can put K, the effect of the shaft bow, as forcing terms in the right side, obtaining mx2 point c plus kxc equal to kb cosinus of omega t plus alpha plus m epsilon omega squared cosinus of omega t plus fx, and the second similarly. So we have an unbalanced force, a shaft bow force, and an external force. We can put these equations in introducing complex coordinates, obtaining a unique expression mr 2 points c plus krc equal to kb for the exponential of I alpha per the exponential of E omega t plus m epsilon omega squared exponential of E omega t plus Fn, where Fn is non-rotational force. With some passage, we obtain the particular solution of the equation containing only the term linked with shaft bow equal to, we can study separately all of the three forcing terms, and at first we study the equation mr c 2 points plus krc equal to kb exponential of I alpha per exponential of I omega t, we look for a synchronous solution, and we obtain, for I repeat, only the shaft bow, only the shaft bow are C equal to B for omega critical velocity squared over the difference of omega critic squared minus general omega. This for exponential of I alpha and exponential of I omega t. We have found a synchronous solution. And this is a synchronous circular whirling. Synchronous, excuse me, the H is here. Synchronous circular whirling. Apart from the phase alpha, the result is similar to the unbalanced response, with the difference being that now the response is larger at lower speed up to the critical speed, and smaller at higher speed, tending to 0 for omega tending to infinity. If we represent the xc0 over b in modulus equal to epsilon c0 over b in modulus in function of omega over omega critic, we have one value correspondent to omega 0 and for omega that tends to infinity we have this displacement 0. So we have no self-centering due to shaft bow. No self-centering. Note that also here, in some sense, also here a sort of self-centering occurs. A sort. Not strictly speaking, but a sort of self-centering occurs at high speed, as the effect of shaft bow disappears here shaft bow disappears. At low speed, the effect of the shaft bow can be more important than that of unbalance. In this zone, prevail the bow. Here, in the other zone, prevails the unbalance. Okay. Recalling that the response in the supercritical range is because of the shaft bow alone. When the speed tends to infinity and the response tends to zero, the rotor spins about point C. Because of xc tend to zero, so when the speeds tend to infinity and the response tends to zero, the rotor spins about point C, which coincides with point P. And the rotor is self-centered. So we have two effects. The first effect at very high speed is the effects of the shaft bow, for which xc tends to zero. The second effect is due to the unbalance of effect of self-centering, with keep to coincide C and P. So in total, the rotor is self-centered.